Lyney has a pretty high talent scaling and a kit that focuses on charged attack, similar to Ganyu. In this video, we'll give you 9 team comp suggestions for characters you can use alongside Lyney. We'll include some meta teams, but also some not so meta teams if you want to try something different. Let's start with some of Lyney's strongest team comp templates. Number 1. Lyney, Xiangling, Kazuha, and Bennett. This team comp is one of the optimal choices for utilizing Lyney's hypercarry potential. It takes full advantage of Lyney's 4th Ascension passive, increasing his damage by 100% when hitting enemies affected by Pyro. Xiangling provides off-field Pyro damage with her elemental skill and burst, while ensuring Lyney's passive talent remains active. For a more defensive approach, you can use Dia, Xinyan, or Yanfei as replacements for Xiangling. Dia provides Lyney with resistance against interruptions through her elemental skill and partial damage mitigation. Moreover, her elemental skill deals with off-field Pyro damage, although it only triggers once every 2.5 seconds. You can also have her stay on the field once her elemental burst is up, so you can deal some quick damage in a rotation. Xinyan can contribute through Pyro Shield and occasional off-field Pyro application if you can hit multiple enemies with her elemental skill. But having her at Constellation 2 will guarantee a level 3 shield, eliminating concerns about enemy count. Yanfei is also a good shield support, but you must rely on her elemental burst to generate the shield. Kazuha, on the other hand, offers crowd control, elemental shred, and boosts overall party damage via his passive talent. Plus, if available, he can equip the Freedom Sworn Sword to enhance the party's damage further. If you don't have Kazuha, you can use Venti, Lynette, or Sucrose. While Sucrose's EM buff may not significantly benefit a mono-element team, equipping her with the thrilling Tales of Dragon Slayers can boost Lyney's attack by up to 48%. Just be mindful of your rotation to take full advantage of the weapon's effect. Alternatively, if keeping track of rotation isn't your thing, Lynette can be the better option, as her 1st Ascension passive aligns better with this team. She doesn't have quite the same level of crowd control abilities as Kazuha, but she can add a layer of taunt with Lyney's charged attack. Venti doesn't provide damage buff outside the Veneer set until you have him at Constellation 6. But he has the best crowd control skills and could help with energy generation through his 4th Ascension passive. He can also equip the Elegy for the end to boost the party's attack. Bennett is the optimal healer for this team as he enables many things for Lyney. But if you need to use him on a different team, you can opt for a Nemo healers like Sayu or Jean. If you're getting value from the video so far, please leave a thumbs up to help out the channel. Your support is highly appreciated. Number 2. Lyney, Xiangling, Zhongli, and Bennett. This slightly modified version of the previous team focuses on defensive capabilities for Lyney. Since you have Zhongli for this team, you don't need other defensive Pyro characters like Deya, Yanfei, or Xinyan. You won't have the 40% elemental shred from the Veneer set, but you will still get a 20% elemental resistance reduction from Zhongli's hold skill option. Alternatively, you can use the Geo Traveler as Zhongli's replacement, generating a shield through the crystallized reaction and 10% crit rate through the 1st Constellation. If you want a slightly different approach for a mono Pyro team, let's head on over number 3. Number 3. Lyney, Albedo, Zhongli, and Bennett. Instead of banking on Lyney's passive talent, this team takes advantage of the Geo and Pyro elemental resonance. You will lose 20% from Lyney's passive, but you'll gain 15% damage from Geo resonance whenever you have a shield. Plus, you can use the Archaic Petra set to gain a 35% elemental damage bonus when you pick up crystals. Albedo's bonus elemental mastery passive is not very useful for this team comp, but it's easy to trigger the crystallized reaction through his elemental skill. His elemental burst also has a low energy requirement and low skill cooldown. The Geo Traveler is your next best option if you don't have Albedo. The next few teams might interest you if you're open to non-meta team options for Lyney. Number 4. Lyney, Rosaria, Kazuha, and Diona. While this team does not take advantage of Lyney's full potential, it compensates for it with elemental reactions. In my opinion, it's still not as good or synergistic as the mono Pyro team, but it can work if you really want Lyney to be in a melt team. Anyway, in the melt-focused setup, maintaining consistent cryo applications becomes crucial so you can trigger the melt reaction frequently. Rosaria's elemental burst has no ICD, allowing her to apply cryo with each tick of her burst. But make sure you have some excellent artifacts for Rosaria, so you won't lose too much DPS whenever the reverse melt triggers. You can also use Ganyu as Rosaria's replacement, but she works best as a main DPS and her elemental burst has a standard ICD. Nevertheless, her elemental burst is an effective cryo enabler and can synergize well with Lyney's kit. Kazuha remains the optimal choice for this team, but you can also use cryo characters like Layla, Shenhe, or Ganyu to act as Rosaria's battery. Layla can offer both a shield and off-field cryo applications for Lyney. Her elemental burst scales off her HP, so it is easier to scale her damage even without good substats or 5-star weapons. Choosing Shenhe, on the other hand, can buff Lyney's elemental burst or charged attack with her elemental skill. Other good alternatives for Kazuha are Sucrose, Lynette, or Venti. If you don't mind not having a healer in your team, you can replace Diona with Layla, keeping Anemo characters in your flex slot. Number 5. Lyney, Mona, Kazuha, and Bennett. Like the Melt team, you can't take full advantage of Lyney's kit, but instead use the Vaporize reaction to compensate. Again, that's if you really want to use Lyney in a Vape team. For this team, you will rely on Mona's elemental burst to nuke monsters in the field with Lyney, so something like an emblem set and high ER is recommended for her. Alternatively, you can use Yellen to replace Mona and boost Lyney's damage by up to 50% through her 4th Ascension passive talent during her elemental burst. But honestly, I think Yellen can work better on a different main DPS as she doesn't complement well with Lyney's playstyle. While Kazuha is optimal for increasing the team's damage, Venti's 4th Ascension passive can help generate energy for the team. But the usual Anemo characters like Lynette and Sucrose are still viable options. Number 6. Lyney, Xiangling, Kazuha, and Kuki Shinobu. You can still take advantage of Lyney's passive talent with this team. And although you're missing out on a 20% damage boost due to the lack of Pyro characters, this is compensated through the Overload elemental reaction damage. Ensure you have a very high EM for Shinobu, so your Overload damage will be worthwhile. You can replace Kazuha with the usual Anemo characters such as Venti, Lynette, or Sucrose. Alternatively, you can use Electro sub-DPS for Xiangling's slot to use Bennett on your healer slot. This leads us to the next team. Number 7. Lyney, Fischl, Kazuha, and Bennett. This team is a slight variation of the previous Overload team, so that you can use Bennett as your healer. You can replace Fischl with Ye Miko or Beidou as your Electro sub-DPS, but you might run into energy issues with their elemental burst if you don't have enough ER. The usual Anemo characters will work as Kazuha's replacement, but you can use Xiangling for his slot, and then use Anemo healers such as Sayu or Jean instead of Bennett. Number 8. Lyney, Xiangling, Kazuha, and Baiju. The Burning Elemental reaction works well with Lyney, as you can still activate her passive talent mid-reaction. Dender healers like Baiju or Yao Yao allow you to trigger Burning seamlessly even while they are off the field, giving Lyney more time to stay on the field doing charged attacks. You can use other Pyro characters like Dia, Xinyan, or Yanfei as Kazuha's replacement, so you can max out the damage boost you can get from Lyney's passive. However, you will also lose crowd control capabilities and elemental shred from the Venera set, so I don't recommend going this route. Alternatively, you can use a Dendro sub-DPS to use Bennett in a burning team, which leads us to the last team. Number 9. Lyney, Nahida, Kazuha, and Bennett. Admittedly, Nahida is best used in a Bloom, Hyper Bloom, or Burgeon team. But having Nahida on this team pretty much ensures that you will always trigger the burning reaction to enemies. You can use Kirara or Kali, but you're better off using the previous team if that's the case. You can also give Kazuha's slot for Xiangling and then use Sayu or Jean to replace Bennett in your healer slot. That's all for this video. If you're looking for a good build for Lyney or want to see more team comp videos, check out these videos next.